Today's Cosplay Con Talk episode is sponsored by Moco Queen Color Contacts. Don't forget to use my code Wayne for 10% off at checkout at mocoqueen.com. With that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's episode.
How's everyone? Wayne the Known here, and welcome back to another episode of Cosplay Talk. One almost wanted to say one of the other series, where we basically discuss everything pertaining to the cosplay community and conventions. I'm here with Mo Maple, who you may have seen a couple of times when I do the convention showcases for some of the conventions here in the Pacific Northwest. Again, Mo, thank you for coming on to Cosplay Con Talks. Get to know that cosplayer.
Oh yeah, thank you for having me.
So some things we're going to talk about is like how you got into cosplay, how long you've been cosplaying for, the conventions you've gone to. Also, share some advice and tips when it comes to conventions and cosplay. So to begin, how long have you been cosplaying for, and what got you into cosplay?
I've been cosplaying since about 2010. I believe that's when my first convention was, but I might have been cosplaying the year before, uh, 2009, but just hadn't done anything with the costumes at that point, other than just hanging out with friends in weird costumes. Um, so yeah, my first convention was in 2010, so been doing it a while.
14, 14 years, I believe. That sounds like so. Are we
I don't do
14 years?
math. Math is
What?
not for me.
So roughly, yeah, 15 years you've been doing this.
Yeah, it's been a long time.
No, that's a
Started
long time.
freshman in high school, just a baby.
So, so you've been doing this since for a long time. What was it like when you started? Because back then, that like cosplay and conventions were becoming more mainstream. Like, people like Yaya Han, Jessica Nigri. I can't remember their name. They go by Kamuya Cosplay. Like they were just starting. They were just starting out, and they're like big names. So
Yeah,
what was it
yeah.
like?
Back then, I knew anime, and that was it. I didn't know anything else. I didn't know big names, other cosplayers. It was just sort of a kind of thing where, like, oh, I like Bleach and I like Naruto. There's this anime convention my friends were going to, and they're like, "You want to come along?" And I'm like, "Yeah, sure, great, let's do it." And they told me, "Oh, we're going to dress up and do these groups," and I'm like, "Dressing up outside of Halloween? Yeah, yeah, totally. Sign me up. Let's do it." And ended up doing a really casual first day Psyduck costume, and that was the start of it. That was my very first cosplay.
From Pokemon, correct?
Yeah, so Psyduck from Pokemon. I did it at like the last minute. Echo Chips as actually going as Misty, um, and then Bernard Kale was one of the main starter girls from like Emerald or Black and White or something like that. Can't remember which one. And I'm like, well, I want to be included. Can I be my favorite Pokemon, Psyduck? And I managed to find a yellow jumpsuit at good.
Oh,
I think I
sorry.
blinked out there for a second.
You were saying sorry.
Yeah, no worries. I found a yellow jumpsuit at Goodwill and I made a hat and I was Psyduck. That's all I
Sorry.
needed to be.
Sorry, everyone. I'm not. I'm like looking around. I have ants in my place because with it being summer, these little,
Yes,
these little.
I just had a battlefield extermination here as well.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna have to double check. That's one downside about the summer. You get these little crawling bastards everywhere, and next thing
Yeah,
you know,
we have.
you're having to mass murder a family, an army of a
Oh
colony
yeah,
of ants.
yeah, and then you have to follow the line back to the where they're coming from because
Wherever.
you're like, if I don't get where they're coming from, they're just going to come back in.
No, I'm gonna have to buy a can of Raid here. I think. 'Cause it's like, flies, I don't mind because those things die quick. It's just the ants; they're everywhere and they
Yeah, and
breed
they just
like
keep coming.
Anyway, so you Echo and Bird cosplayed from Pokemon. Was that for a convention or is that just
Yeah, that
because?
was 2010 KomoriCon.
Oh, I forget Komori-Con has been around since like
It
2003, I think.
it's been a while. When we went, it was still at the Hilton. Um, and that was my very first convention. I'd never been anywhere and done anything like that.
Well, you answered my next question. What was your
Yeah,
first convention?
my first convention was 2010 KomoriCon at the Hilton.
Yeah, now it's
And
that.
yeah, it was
The
I yeah, never done anything like that. Never been in a group of that many people. And for like KomoriCon standards today, that was like a drop in the pool for how many people go today. But it was still like a crazy experience, and it was just a lot of fun. It was crazy. That's when you used to have to line up around the block to get your badge, and the dealer's hall was in the within the dungeon down in
Oh
the
yeah, good
parking
old
garage.
dungeon, good old dungeon con. We don't talk about that dungeon con. If you want to know more, feel free to go on Instagram and look up hashtag dungeon con.
Yeah, it felt like because you have to wait in line to get into the dealer's hall, and it was just down a ramp into the parking garage.
I mean, it's indoors this time because I remember in 2023 when I went to get my press badge, I just saw how long the line was, and I think I left around like 8, 9 o'clock, and they had to shut the doors because there was
Yeah,
like a
yeah, you
line.
have to.
There was a line outside the convention center in 2023. I'm
Yeah,
like,
2023 was a crazy year because they still had a lot of those regulations going on. And unfortunately, it always seems like there's always going to be some kind of line con. But so if you plan it well enough, you can at least minimize your line con. You definitely have to plan though for if you're going to get there late because they do close the doors unfortunately, and then you're
yeah.
just I already waited 2 hours. What am I supposed to do?
I mean, like you said, if you get lucky enough, like if you can get there early, because I
Yeah,
know
early is
like
probably the best. And if you go on like, I know a lot of cons start on like a Thursday or Friday. I know that's
day
not very
zero.
accessible for some people, but it's probably the best day because people are at work. So there's not as many people trying to get their badges those days.
I mean, I remember like when I ran into you and Echo in 2023, you guys had just got your badges, I believe.
Yeah, we got there pretty late that year, but we were lucky enough to zoom in, get it. I think we only had to wait about an hour for
That's
ours.
that's honestly not bad. Like the
It, you
line,
know, it's back in the day of 2010 KomoriCon where you'd have to wrap around the building. I think we waited for 4 hours in that line.
Ugh. Yeah, I remember again 2023. If anyone was there, you know how long the line. I mean, I saw like because when I said I got in there to get my badge, and I'm like, okay, where's? Oh, okay, it's over this way. I don't have to go around. Oh man, no, thank you. Um, so talked about but when you guys got in and everything, did you have fun for your first con back in
Oh yeah, it
2010?
was great. I know we didn't do like we with I was a freshman in high school. I had maybe $20 for for merch, but that didn't mean I couldn't look, and that was great. And just seeing like everybody in costumes. I was when I first when I was putting stuff together, I was like, is really anybody gonna be there dressed up? Is it just gonna be me and my friends looking like a bunch of weirdos in the corner? Of
Uh-oh.
cosplays that I saw. And especially like back in the day, some things weren't really accessible, but there was the amount of cosplays were really just a crazy sight to see.
I mean, back in the day, you like a certain amount of cosplays. You had to like go up like a couple sizes because they were from Asia. You had to make sure you got the right size wig or the right color wig because you would either be too small or the
Yeah.
wig would be like very like the wig would be like very shining, had like that that waxy shine to it.
Yeah, wigs weren't. It never occurred to me when I first started that you could wear a wig. That was probably what regular people would think. Oh yeah, I'll just buy a wig for that. When I first started, it was like super slim budget. I was on my mom's dime. And what little money I'd get from relatives from like Christmas or birthdays. So it was a lot of goodwill. It was a lot of crafting it at home. So wigs really weren't what I was trying to budget for. So one of my like that same 2010 KomoriCon, I was Pit from Super Smash Bros. Because we
Who's
did a
Pit
Super
again?
Smash Bros. Pit. What was that?
Who's Pit again?
Um, he is. I can't remember his actual game, but he's from Super Smash Bros. He's the one with the angel wings. Um,
Oh, Kid
and
Icarus.
yeah, Kid Icarus. Yeah, yeah. And he
When
goes,
he
yeah,
said
yeah, yeah,
when he
yeah,
said
yeah.
when he said angel wings, like okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah,
familiar with
and
I'm familiar
I
with
was
Kid Icarus.
I was Pit, and it never occurred to me that one could get a wig for that. I had gotten a white sheet from Goodwill, blue shorts from Goodwill. My mom crocheted me my wrists guards and my shin guards, and I wore sandals. And for my hair, and it wasn't even a concern until we got there and I was getting ready. I'm like, he has spiky hair. How do I
Mm-hmm.
do that? So I had
He's
like
got that
pinned
like
my hair
Sora
up.
cloud-like hair.
Yeah, I had actually just pinned my hair up in like a weird ponytail with my like bits hanging up, and I spiked those, and it looked really rough.
I
But
mean, you got
it
to
was
work with
done.
what you can because not many people work. I've not. Speaking of, I've not seen many cosplays from Kid Icarus. It's like one of those like
Yeah,
niche Nintendo games that you really have to like search for and like
yeah,
really
after
know.
all these years, I think I've maybe seen two other ones. Um, so just I did it. I was Pit.
I mean, his outfit's fairly simple because, like you said, he's pretty much wearing like a toga type
Yeah, it was
outfit and
just blue
everything.
shorts, and the arm guards, the shin guards,
His
which my mom
wings.
just made out of brown yarn, and I put some ribbons on them. And for the toga, the most exciting thing I did was it has a little border which I hot glued like gold trimming to,
Nice.
and you just tied it on. And oh, I did make a really weird. He wears like a leaf crown that's gold, but
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
yeah,
Yeah.
but I couldn't find gold leaves, so I had to get like fake regular green ones, and I painted them gold with gold fabric paint. It was fine.
It
It
worked.
worked.
It seems like you definitely like to like alter and make your cosplays though.
Oh yeah, as I've gotten older, I do enjoy making from scratch, but there's also some things that I just for they just feel better if it's from thrifted or recycled material.
Fair. So next question, we're gonna get into the topics of convention related stuff. When it comes to someone who's wanting to go to their first convention, whether they're just going as an attendee or they're going in cosplays, what advice would you like to give?
Oh, first convention. I would probably research the convention a little bit, just to see what's in the area. I know some conventions can be kind of isolated, so you just want to make sure that like you know where you can get like food or if you need transportation, that kind of thing. But for your first con, for my first con, I just went in almost completely blind. I had no idea anything about it. I just knew it was this thing where people go to. And I went with my friends. So if it is your first con, I'd probably recommend the buddy system.
Convention exit buddy.
Yes, I would definitely recommend who's if even if they haven't done it before and they're also a newbie, that you can be newbies together. And it's just not as overwhelming if you have somebody by your side that you can talk to and be like, okay, maybe this is too much. Let's go stand over here. Yeah, definitely. If you're able, do the buddy system, and maybe if you don't have anybody, nobody's really into this kind of stuff, you're never, you don't have any friends that are like, oh yeah, let's do that. Maybe try a smaller con first, like a local something. I know KomoriCon in 2010 was nowhere near KomoriCon now, so I would have recommended KomoriCon back then. I definitely probably, if you're really nervous about it and you're not super gung ho, not that big of a con, but definitely something smaller, local. Most areas nowadays have local conventions that are super close.
Well,
Whether
they're definitely come out of the woodwork, especially after COVID.
yeah, and some places, even if it's like an hour or two away, if you're able, then I would definitely check those cons out if you're cosplaying, or even if you aren't cosplaying, because it's good to get on the con floor, because it's just a completely different experience once you're there.
Oh yeah, no, I completely agree. And you already brought up, you already, you know, I mean, you've since you've watched these, you know what question I was going to ask, because I was about to ask about, as you know, on this channel, we're a big, this channel is a big advocate for the convention exit buddy system.
Yeah, yeah,
As
yeah.
in like,
Even if you meet up with somebody and everybody's there for pretty much the same thing, it's we're all interested in what we're there for. Make friends along the way, but just make sure you have somebody, whether it's somebody who's not going to the convention but in town, that like you can be like, hey, can you come over here for a second, I'll meet you outside. Yeah, it's always best just to have some kind of exit plan buddy.
oh no, I mean, I wholeheartedly agree. Like, if I see some good friends that I know at a con, and like, and then sometimes I'll ask, like, hey, do you want to hang out around, bum around con? Because I don't. Because sometimes, oh man, sometimes walking around con by yourself can get pretty boring.
Yeah, yeah.
I'll admit that's why, like, if I see you and Echo and the others bumming around con, I'll just see if I can't, join your guys' party. Because
Yeah, we're
sometimes
habitual
soloing is never.
walkers, so we love to circle the con and look at everybody. So we're usually on the con floor, just or in the dealer's hall. So it's like, oh yeah, want to come and hang out? We're gonna do 3 laps of the convention hall, just and then sit somewhere and people watch.
I mean, hey, I can't argue with that. Another question. This pertains to budgeting for a con. It's a question oh God, I haven't questioned this question in quite a while. Um, you don't have to give a number, but what type of like set budget do you think someone should have, especially if they're going to their first con, whether it's a small con or a big con?
First con, I definitely being when it was my first convention, being so much younger, I did not have a budget. Um, and we tried to, as much as possible, because I knew I still had to eat. So that's like you can think, oh, con budget, sweet. I have all this money, I can spend it on charms and acrylics, and then you realize I spent all my money, but I don't
And
have
you
any
have no
food.
food.
So you definitely, I like to keep. I generally sometimes will do cash, because it's easier to separate that way. So I'll have a certain set budget for food, that by the last day, if I have a whole lot of that food budget left, I might spend a little bit of it on at the con, because I only need to eat once more before I go home the next day. It's fine.
Oh no.
Um, but as far
I,
as like minimum wise, it's hard to say, because everything really shifts and it depends on what you're interested in buying too. Um, I just say, if you're on a limited budget, definitely make sure you have them separated, because you do not want to
mm,
spend all of your money in
oh
one
no,
go.
I agree, especially like on like the first day, like
Yeah,
wait and
yeah.
see. Wait and
First
see.
day blowing it is probably like one of the biggest things you do once, and you're like, Oh, what have I done?
Oh no, no, I agree because like you know you want to see what there is, just explore the con, and day two, then you can. If you don't, day three. But just know there are times where day three, there's usually almost all the vendors and artists are like out of stock. But it doesn't hurt to ask them, hey, do you have a business card? Do you sell this
Yeah.
particular item on your shop?
Yeah, definitely. I also, if always ask the artist if before you take pictures. Sometimes I'll take a picture of an item that I really want, but it's just not in my budget for this convention. I'll take a picture of it with the card so I remember I really like this thing. I want to order it later for me, or if I'm thinking about it for a gift for somebody else. Um, and then I'll write down the price and I'll just save it for later when my budget will allow for that. Um, so there's a few things that, like, if they don't have an online shop, maybe that might be like a higher priority, but you always want to do your first rounds before you really start spreading the wealth a little bit.
Oh no, I completely agree. And also, if the con allows it, it does not hurt to bring like snacks, sandwiches, like
Oh yeah,
which to this day I gotta thank you and Echo for giving me that sandwich at Kamori when like I was just feeling like utter crap.
that's how we keep a lot of our we when we're at conventions, we're there to spend money. So we budget our food, but we also bring a lot of our food in. We'll hit up the grocery store right before we go. Me and Echo will sometimes just go to the store and be like, "Oh, we want to do sandwiches. Let's get bread and lunch meat and peanut butter and jelly. We'll get a couple things of ramen cups because it's not a convention if you're not eating a ramen cup."
Oh God, ramen's so good.
I actually quite like the little soups that you can microwave. Uh, After a hard day at con, you're exhausted. Nothing tastes better than tomato soup.
With the
But
grilled cheese,
that's
with the ham
that's a
and
way
grilled cheese
we
sandwich.
like can keep a little bit more of our budget, is that we pack lunch. We'll do like full lunches with grapes and chips and
Sorry,
hopefully no ants.
I was killing an as you can see, I was killing an ant. I can't wait. I can't wait for summer to be over so these little bastards can die. Sorry, I'm not. I don't mind ants. Like I like the movie Ants and A Bug's Life and Ant Bully. I just hate ants in general.
Yeah, ants outside are fine. It's when they're in my house. That's the issue.
Another thing. Speaking of when it comes to cons and such, how do you go about traveling? What's some advice? Because you've traveled out of. I'm sure. Have you traveled out of state for a con before, or just out of
Yeah,
town?
I've done SoccerCon in Washington, and then I've also done SAC Anime in California.
Oh, Shack Enemy is so fun.
I had a heck of a time at SAC Anime. It was so much fun. I'm geared up to go back at some point. That one was a
I
great convention.
cannot recommend enough. Went back for like that was like the first big con I did back in 2019 with my sister, and it was so such. I got to meet one of my favorite voice actors. Like, but no, traveling. What should one do to prepare if they're going to travel out of town or out of state for a con? Not like an hour away, like like a good, like from here to Portland, or like here to like. How should someone prepare if they're going to do like a long, as I call it, a big con trip? That doesn't
Yeah,
necessarily mean you're going to a small con. That just means you're going a long. You're driving a long time to get to a con.
yeah. Always um, check your maps, make sure you know where you're going. I know when we first started, we're not from a super big city, so Portland traffic was, kind of intimidating, especially when it was still in the hotel. And even now it's in the convention center, that's like prime congestion area. So it's definitely good to know kind of where you're supposed to be going, looking at the off ramps, the little side streets, making sure you know your hotel's on the left or right side in case there's a one way. So that kind of being prepared for that, and also just for long road trips. I mean, buddy system for that. Somebody talks, somebody drives. You got the DJ and
Play some
the
music,
person in
or
the back
like
seat sleeping. That's
sounds like a good road trip. I mean, it's weird traveling. It's weird going to a con, traveling to a con. I mean, I've done that only like I've only ever done that like once, traveling long distance for a con in 2023. You know, being on a Greyhound full of complete strangers is
oh
kind of
yeah.
weird. But
Never
like it,
done. I haven't done a train or Greyhound or anything like that to a convention, so I don't have any experience for that. We
it's
usually car. That's
usually what you cut out there.
we
You
usually carpool. So like Echo, when we first started going, it was actually Bird Nerd Kale's Bird Nerd cosplay. Her sister would actually drive us, and they would go with us as well. So because we're freshmen in high school where nobody has a driver's license, um, so they were the designated driver for us for a few years while we did that. But nowadays it's mostly we drive up there.
well, yeah, no, it's like a good couple like 4, 5, 6 hours roughly.
Yeah, when
Depending.
we did soccer con, me and Echo actually drove up to Portland. Then we spent the day at spent the night with Kale, and then went up to Seattle the next
Usually
day.
a wise choice because you don't. I mean, that's a good 8, 9 hour drive at least.
Yeah, Echo and I actually left a day earlier than like we really needed to, just so we'd have that extra day because it is such a long drive. So yeah, I guess plan for that, see how long the drive is, and then see if you can't leave an extra day early, just so you give yourself time to like drive safely and reasonably.
Oh yeah. Also, when it comes to using your phone for like Google Maps or whatever, see if there's like road construction.
Yeah.
Check the weather because
Also,
I.
download the map before time. I know Google will let you do offline maps, which is
Hmm.
great if you get into areas where reception isn't great, or
Oh
sometimes
no.
like my phone, if there's too many people in one area, it doesn't like to connect to the internet. So I always like to have the maps downloaded just in case for some reason my data doesn't work. So I always have the map available.
That's why it's also good to, if, like you said, if listen to music or like if your car has one of those TVs in there,
Oh yeah.
download something
TVs,
from
oof.
download from like something from Netflix or Hulu, so you have something to watch while you're traveling.
Yeah, if I do a solo trip, I've only done one of those by myself to a convention. Podcasts. I listen to podcasts. um, the entire time I'll listen to a D&D podcast, and it's like somebody talking in the car with me.
Hey, no, it beats. I mean, that's what me. That's podcasts, music, something. A podcast I probably would recommend because those things can go on for a long time. So by the time you get to your destination, coming from someone who's traveled by bus and by Amtrak to get to Kumo, because you have to take the bus to get there, and you have to take the Amtrak from where you're staying to the convention. So it's tedious, but it's worth it. And I will say this: check the weather, especially if you
Oh
live
yeah.
like in the Pacific Northwest, because I think it was last year when it was for Fan Expo. I heard how bad the weather was.
Yeah, we were actually on our way up to that convention. Uh it was rain, You also have to, I guess, really know what you're going to be driving through. Being Oregonians, it was for right then it was just rain, until it isn't just rain because they got all iced in and it was awful. But we never actually made it to
I
Fan Expo.
heard.
Yeah, we spun out on the highway. So
Well, I'm glad you guys are okay.
yeah,
And
yeah,
this is
yeah.
not.
The only
Sorry, go
thing
ahead.
broken was the car and my wrist. So
And I'm gonna say this is not like attacking towards anyone. Please, please, please. And you guys knew, but you guys, it just no one expects it to be that bad. Like when it's like
Yeah.
that, no one like yeah, it's Oregon. It'll snow, but no
It
one
was
expects it.
almost oh,
Go ahead.
yeah, it was almost kind of serendipitous that we didn't make it up there, because if we had, we would have been everything froze. We would have been iced in a hotel that we only had booked for a couple days. So it was almost kind of a weird fate thing that after
Mhm.
we never actually made it up there. We made it as far as almost Roseburg.
I remember seeing people blame the convention, saying, "You made us come." It's like no one makes you come. No
It's
one.
yeah, it was nobody's fault. It was, as
People just
like
wanted a finger. People just wanted to point, say, "Oh, you made
yeah,
us. You
and they
made
were
me."
really cool about like moving tickets further along, and even the hotel had no problem canceling our room. They're like, yeah, no, you're fine.
It's
It's
just.
done. We didn't even have to pay a fee. It probably helped that I called them from the hospital and been like, hey.
Oh yeah, no, like. But like I remember seeing people pointing blame at the con, like you're the reason why we're stuck here. You're like, you chose to go to the
Yeah,
con. You're the one who.
it was our choice to drive up
I just
there,
think
and
no one was. I think no one was expecting the weather to be that bad. Like when the weather is that bad here in Oregon, you know,
yeah,
and that's why
yeah, and we
I
only get a storm like that every like
oh God,
6 or 7 years.
remember the snow in February this year.
Yeah, yeah,
That's
yeah.
how
We
bad the
only ever
weather. That's how bad weather can
yeah
get
we
when.
we don't we expect rain. But for like a frozen ice storm, that
Mhm.
is
No one was
that's even
expecting
like
that.
above and beyond of what we could have expected. But it's not the
No one can
convention's
expect that.
fault or anything like that. It's just,
No.
a compiling set of circumstances that just unfortunately,
Oh yeah,
accumulate
no.
into a bad time.
And some other advice I would recommend. Um, research the weather.
Yeah.
Plan your cosplays accordingly, because pack both cool and warm cosplays, because it'll say, oh yeah, the weather will be nice and sunny, and then you get there and it's just rain, and next thing you know, someone's freezing their ass off because they decided to go as Junko Inashima from Danganronpa, or they decided to
Yeah,
go as, or they decided to go as Simone from Gurren Lagann.
yeah, for stuff like that, I generally pre-plan my cosplays, so I feel like I'm stuck either way because that's what I have. But there's definitely things you can do to make them warmer. Definitely, if you can get like the fleece tights
Hmm.
or anything, like you can still wear the outfit. You just have to modify it to make it um going to be fit for the weather. Even like really bulky costumes, if you do cotton, it breathes so much better, and you'd be so much more surprised in how cool it can be.
I mean, I've even seen these things lately where like heat vest and cooling vest.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Echo actually had one of those heat vests at Rogue Comic Con because it poured and it was
Hmm.
freezing when we weren't cosplaying, but we were vending, so we were
Oh,
sitting there
oh
all
yeah,
day.
that was last year. I remember you guys were just in blankets and everything,
This year too, this year was crazy as well.
but not as bad. Not
Not as
like
bad. Yeah,
not as bad where like
definitely.
everyone left early.
Yeah, no, last year was not fun, but this year we had maybe like an hour of wind that was picking tents up and dragging them
Oh yeah,
away.
I heard about that. It left like me and my sister left early, like
Yeah, you missed all the
left.
fun.
Literally after we left, I heard Janisha and, was saying like how it was like everything. The wind was just blowing everything.
Yeah, yeah. It almost knocked ours almost went up, but we were able to stand up and like just brace it down, and we
Oh
had
yeah.
like really good weights too. It's just it was you missed all the fun.
Whether you're traveling to the East Coast or the West Coast for a con, plan accordingly. Do
Yeah,
your research on the weather. And I'm also going to say this: if the weather is really, really bad when you're getting ready to travel, it does not hurt to cancel it.
no,
It's rather to be safe, stay safe, than potentially get into a car accident or you're stuck in that city and you have no way of getting back.
yeah, and I know a lot of people worry about like the price of things canceling. Hotels are generally pretty chill about canceling, especially for circumstances like this. I know probably if you just call them the day before with no good reason, but they look outside, they know it's bad weather, so they're going to be a lot more understanding. Conventions, I mean, I've wasted $50 for I've paid a ticket, $50 for a ticket. I've wasted $50 on something much worse in my life. So just giving up that ticket for my safety is probably a lot better. And I can attest to that because a wrist surgery is a lot more than a convention ticket.
You're paying a good couple hundred or so pending at a hospital, and like
Yeah,
I
and
know
months of physical therapy and everything else.
it sucks that you weren't able to go to the con, but
Yeah, I didn't meet Elvira, but it's I'm still here.
I'm
You
looking
gotta you gotta make sure you're safe before anything else.
I'm looking forward to Fan Expo, going to Fan Expo in January, but I'm also going to make sure to do my research to make sure I don't get snowed in.
Yeah,
Luckily I'll be staying with a friend, so if I need to like call my job, say, hey, I'm snowed in here, I'm gonna need like to use that PTO
yeah,
until the weather clears up. But it's yeah, and always have a backup plan.
yeah. Always have
Um,
a backup plan. Yeah, and yeah, it doesn't hurt just to stay home, and or just cancel out a couple months of winter cons that you're not going to go to. I won't be traveling in January anymore.
no, that is completely fair and understandable. I'm just hoping the weather's not super bad.
Yeah,
Because
generally in January we're usually good. It's February we always have to worry about.
oh no, February's like, especially oh god, 3 days. That's like
Yeah,
almost a
because we'd
week of.
always get worried about C3 Con, and we got snow coming back from C3 Con one year, but all the other years were fine.
So what conventions that you're now on to conventions that you are going to, and what's that one con you would love to go to, but it's not in the budget right now?
Oh, so some conventions I'm going to. I'm of course doing KomoriCon again this year. Anna Medford, Metalark, all of the basics around here. um, that's really my schedule for this year. Nothing else major. I did last couple years some really hard conventioning, so good time to take a break, focus on some bigger projects. But as far as a convention I like really want to go to, I maybe an East Coast convention. I know that I follow a lot of cosplayers that only do East Coast conventions, so it'd be really cool to maybe Anime Boston or something like that.
Ooh,
Um,
I know some people who go to Anime Boston.
yeah, something like that would probably be like the top of my list, just to maybe mingle with some of these really cool cosplayers that I've seen from over there.
You know that anytime I interview someone over here on the West Coast, that seems to be that seems to be like the thing is like people on the West Coast want to go to the East Coast. People on the East Coast want to come over to the West Coast cons. I'm
Yeah, because
like,
I
it's
mean,
fair because those who
yeah,
go to Dragon Con want to go to Anime Expo. Those who go to Anime Expo want to go to Dragon Con or
yeah,
something.
I'd never do Anime Expo. Um, and I
Fair,
probably went
fair, fair.
I went to DragCon in LA at the same convention center they use for Anime Expo, and I can't imagine how they fit so many people into Anime Expo. And just looking at the amount of people from DragCon, I was like, I'm never going to. I'm
I
not.
mean,
That's not happening.
well, the thing is with Anime Expo, when so many people are crammed into one building, it gets really warm, and
Yeah,
that's when the fire marshals. It's like those nature documentaries you see, like when a swarm of bees
it
are
really
like
is. It's like a
it's
swarm
like
of bees. Yeah,
it's like you see how like swarm of bees will like attack like a wasp. They'll like cover it. It's not there. It's not the stingers. It's the heat. All that
yeah.
heat they're generating is causing So I've heard stories of people overheating, passing out because it's not that there's a lot of people, it's just all that body heat is in the
Yeah, and the
one single
convention
room.
space for being in LA is surprisingly small. It is it is I was shocked to see how small that space was for being like the mecca of West Coast anime convention. And I was like, I can't imagine just that amount of people in this space because it's and the various cons I've been to, like Soccer Con is massive. Even SAC Anime, just the vendors hall itself is huge. I can't
Hmm.
imagine the convention center in LA is like
I
so
have
tiny.
I have nothing against Anime X, but I've seen pictures and videos. It's a con that like you don't have to be a fan of anime. It's something big. It's something in LA, so people are like, ooh, uh, what's this? I want to go to it. Am I a fan of this? No, but I see a bunch of people going to it. Again, nothing
Yeah,
against
the
Anime X
amount
show.
of people just frighten me.
I
Just
would love to. I personally, I would like to go to Anime Expo just once, just to say, hey, I went to this. It was cool. It was awesome. Never going again.
I don't even think I could handle just being outside of Anime Expo. Just
I
on
mean,
this on
hell,
the street being like, no, I that
look
that
at
is a
San.
hard pass for me, but Anime Boston, something like that, that feels a little bit more
Oh
reasonable.
no, that's. I mean, Kimura, like also next year, I'm considering on attempting to do depending on the budget and PTO. I want to try a Rose City Comic Con next year.
Which one?
Rose City.
Oh, Rose City was so much fun. You probably really enjoy that one.
I mean, especially with what I do. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Um.
yeah, yeah. No, just or even just in general, the feeling and the vibe of that one was just really, really cool.
Plus,
It
I
almost
know
reminded me
Critical
of
Role
SAC
for.
anime.
Plus, I know Critical Role frequents that con a lot.
They do. They do. As far as like the feeling and the venue, it almost felt like SAC anime, honestly.
Oh yeah, because the whole like, unlike Komori-Con, only half the con, only half the convention center is like open, but like SAC Anime, the whole thing's open. Rose City, the whole thing is open because it's the big con. So of course, they're like, okay, it's this big con, everyone. We gotta open everything. And I feel like
Yeah, and
the more
I knew it
open,
was like more open than KomoriCon, but it honestly didn't even feel like that. It was a really good con.
oh yeah, I
Like
mean,
there
it's
wasn't
more.
that the amount of people wasn't like claustrophobic or anything, and yeah, I would definitely go back to Rose City.
Now onto some cosplay conventions. What type of advice would you want to give someone who wants to get in cosplay for the first time because they're not sure? Because as mentioned, they see cosplayers like Mole Cosplay, Jessica Nigri, Yaya Han, Kamuya Cosplay. They see these cosplayers and they see those and like, oh, that's cosplay. I don't know if I want to do that. You know.
Yeah, yeah. I'd probably just say, it's okay to start small. You don't have to make anything big, elaborate. You don't have to spend 50 hours sewing appliques onto a jacket. You can start by just going to Goodwill or your local thrift store, and just, finding things that fit the character that can, or even like a casual version of the character and or can be altered in certain ways. A lot of I find sometimes it's hard to pick characters from things that I like because they're just regular people. And it's like, well, is this really going to translate very well? But those kind of things are great for beginners or just jumping in, is to just, you know, do something easy so you can move, so you can have fun at your first convention, that you're not going to be constricted by 1,000 pounds of dress or um, something, or high heels that are 40 inches tall.
I mean, I give props to first time cosplayers when they want to go big. Like, if you
Yeah,
want
and
to do that,
if it's your first time and you want to do that, do it. But I think sometimes you see these big cosplayers and you're like, oh, is that what is expected of me?
oh,
And it's really just whatever you want to do. It's how you want to express yourself and the characters that you love.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, again, I have like, if you want to go accurate, go accurate. If you want to go big and go home, do so. But just know, with doing that, especially if it's your first time doing that, there are gonna be repercussions and consequences because your body, you're gonna feel it in the end.
Yeah, you definitely are. Especially if you're on a budget and you are trying to make a bigger outfit, you can be tempted to go for less quality fabrics, which in general can either be kind of heavy and cumbersome and also warmer. Anything synthetic is gonna like trap your body heat in, and you're not gonna realize that, especially I know some people don't, myself included, don't do test runs with their cosplay. I
Always
don't do
do a
test
test
runs.
run.
I don't do a test run because I'm generally sewing the day before I leave.
Oh,
So there's really no time.
you're con
Yeah,
crunching.
I that's how I live my life, is adrenaline to push through. So generally the things I wear the first time, they don't get a dry run. So if anything goes wrong, it goes wrong. And anything I realize, oh, this is really hot, this is uncomfortable. Um, if you have time, if you are, the kind of person that can do that and have like a day that you can do something earlier and wear it around, see if something doesn't feel right or if it's too hot. Maybe you can add some kind of cooling fabric. But yeah, unfortunately, if you're going to go big or go home, maybe try to give yourself enough time to test run it before
Oh
you
no,
do
also
anything.
make sure that it does not irritate your skin because some people have a sensitivity to certain fabrics.
Oh yeah, and you might not know until you're wearing it and you're like, this is really itchy, this feels horrible.
Why do I have a bunch of red blotches on me?
And especially if you're sewing up until you're supposed to be wearing it, sometimes you don't get a lot of contact.
Mm-mm. Same could be said if you do body paint or any type of makeup. Like,
You have to. You definitely should be testing the body paint. Just do a test swatch beforehand, because you don't know how you're going to react to that kind of stuff.
because next thing is you have to leave the con and you won't be able to go to on day two because you're at the hotel recovering from almost passing out or breaking out.
Yeah.
Same with shoes. Test
So,
your shoes before you go
yes.
to a con.
Yeah, I'm big on shoes. I'm also not the kind of cosplayer that's. Um, I really have to monitor my feet health. So
Same.
it's like, if I wear tennis shoes with cosplay, I will get good pictures with nice shoes, boots, heels, but generally I'm going to be in a comfortable pair of shoes because
Oh yeah,
I
no.
do a lot of walking. I
It's
we could do 10, 12,000 steps in a convention. This is, you have to be prepared for the trek.
so this actually brings me to a next question. How is it when you do Squirrel Girl? Because I know with the I know you got like the big tail as well.
Oh yeah. The tail's like no issue. It is incredibly light. It's made out of foam and it's hollow in the center, so it's like there's nothing really there to add any weight. And because I use shoulder straps, it's like wearing a backpack. It's
Oh,
just
okay. So you do the shoulder because I know some people will do like I've seen some people when they have like a big tail, they'll like add like very thin fishing line and they'll like attach it to the back of their cosplay so it
yeah.
looks like the
I've
tail
seen
is
that too. I like that for like one of the kind of more flappy squirrel girl tails, but because this one is so big that the fishing line really pulls on
Mm,
the costume, so I actually cut slits in the back of my costumes and then feed the straps into it, and there's little clips on the inside, so it's just like wearing a backpack, just to keep
same.
it in place. And yeah, I've never had any issues with the tail other than being kicked out of a vendor's hall for being too big.
And hopefully you were able to stay cool and everything when you went as Jubilee from X-Men last
Yeah,
year.
that one, honestly, out of all of the costumes I've worn, like all the fabric I've worn for Mercedes and anything else, Jubilee was probably the hottest costume I've ever worn.
I mean, that was like that was just the jacket, the shirt, the gloves,
Yeah, and
the
I couldn't find
wig.
a really good like cotton yellow jacket, so that was just a rain jacket, and I definitely have to rethink that costume before I wear it again because it was warm.
I mean, props to both you and Echo for from cosplaying from X-Men and like the outfits because I know those outfits. Even though there's AC inside, I can't imagine what it was like wearing those.
Yeah, without the jacket, just fine. It was great. Had no issues, but something about that jacket, it was definitely gonna have to find something else
Oh,
for that one.
I wholeheartedly believe it. About that, we talked about that, and I'm sure you're also a big advocate for thrifting for
Oh
cosplayers,
yeah.
like because because anime characters you can get away with just buying if you get the right wig, you can easily just wear a casual outfit.
Oh yeah, I also really enjoy doing some characters in more casual outfits, like a casual version, or even I haven't done it myself, but I really like some people's spins on like punk versions of certain
Ooh,
characters.
I've seen quite a few punk
Or
versions.
even like a preppy version, or like just something that's like different, but it's also just regular thrifted clothing, but you still have like that character's wig and the makeup, and you make that outfit in the image of that character. And I'm a really big fan of that because it's like your interpretation of what they would do the interpretation of.
No, I mean I've seen my fair share of like mainly like on Instagram is when someone does a casual Raven from Teen Titans.
Yeah, yeah. Casual Starfire. I've seen a bunch of those. Or even casual like Sailor Moon scouts. I've seen some really cool punk editions of the Sailor Moon scouts, or even just like 90s fashion.
I was just about to say 90s fashion Sailor Moon.
Yeah, I tried to do a Sailor Mars 90s look. I don't know if it translated very well, but it was sure comfy that day.
I mean, as long as it's comfy. Again, sometimes comfortability is more better than accuracy. Don't come after me. That's just my personal opinion. I mean, I've done a few close to. I've done like two accurate versions of characters, but
Oh yeah, I
those were like two-piece suits.
yeah, for my some
Well,
big projects I try to
take that back. Take the three,
three.
uh, three accurate looking characters.
Yeah, when I do big big outfits, my big ones, I do try to go for a lot of accuracy. I'll get a lot of pictures. I'll try to do as much like little details, but I also like doing extra little details that aren't exactly in the source material, but just feel right for that character. When I did Mercedes, I did lacing around her arm cuffs.
Who's Mercedes again?
From Fire Emblem Three Houses, it's the one with the brown dress and the hat
No,
thing.
I mean, when I go through this again and look and write down the list of characters, you'll have to show me. See,
Yeah, definitely. But for that one, I did lace around her cuffs, and it's not in the source material. She just has white cuffs, but it just felt good for that character to do that. And also for fabric choices, like you don't know what kind of fabric some of this stuff is, but because her character is from a northern region in the game, I chose a harder weight twill fabric to kind of mimic the same kind of flow and density that I would imagine her dress would have for being like supposed to be warmer because it's in a cold region. So like those little details, like I'll go for accuracy, but for if it's like a day zero costume, or if it's a costume I'm attending as a vendor, it's a lot more casual. I'm not gonna grill you because your shoes are the wrong color or anything like that. It's all up into interpretation.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I'm looking forward to doing a modern version on Geralt of Rivia's casual outfit from Witcher 3.
Yeah,
Because like I was originally gonna go with like medieval looking pants, the boots, and I was like, no, and plus like those boots are gonna be a nightmare. So okay, let's get some dress boots. Let's find some pants that look close enough. We got the shirt. Everything's good because I want to
yeah,
because like when I'm like take off the wig and wipe the timbery dye off my beard, I can still like wear it around town.
yeah. And it's nice with I know some characters don't translate very well to the casual kind of outfits, but Geralt's such a like iconic character that that's one of the great ones to do
I
for
mean,
that because
I've seen like pictures of casual version, like modern versions of like
yeah,
drawings, and like okay, we can do this.
yeah, and I think that makes it a lot more accessible too, because then you don't have to worry so much about, you know, being screen accurate to the Witcher Netflix show. You gotta get the chainmail just right,
And the
and
video game.
yeah, and it's
Eh, and I have like a leather armored version for him. I want to do as well next
oh
year.
yeah,
It's like that's for later. Let's just focus on this one.
yeah.
Enough
You're
about
putting
that. But
you're getting
like
your foot in the door.
I like, and there's nothing wrong with doing your own take of a character. If like you can get away with doing it, then do it. Because like, and I have nothing against people who do accurate looking characters. I have nothing against it. 'Cause those are really cool. But there are sometimes people who are like, okay, well, has anyone done this way? No. All right, I'm gonna do that.
Yeah, yeah, and it's always fun to see everybody's creative interpretation of these characters because I mean, in anime they're 2D. They're or even if it's a character from a manga, um, a lot of manga you don't know exactly what colors it's going to be, or so a lot of that is like up to interpretation. And it's always great to see everybody's how creative everybody is with those little details that they've picked up from the character and they want to like create into something physical.
Oh yes, or especially with comic book characters and whatnot, because you can get away with doing your own version of a comic book character.
Oh
It's
yeah,
always cool when people like do their own version that's never been done before. Like those are really cool, and I know those take some time.
yeah,
And
yeah.
it doesn't hurt going the cheap route either.
I just love seeing what everybody does when they're passionate about something.
Oh no,
Doesn't matter if it's like screen accurate or you thrifted it. You saw this character, you like them enough to want to represent them, and I'm just gonna love it regardless.
oh no, wholeheartedly hands down. So now on to the cosplays you've done. What's that one cosplay you've not done in so long that you would like to bring back?
um, I for ages ago I made from Wotakoi. It is Narumi, her RPG outfit from like one episode of the anime and like one chapter of the manga. Um, she's got pink hair and elf ears, and I worked really hard on like the entire outfit. I sewed it completely myself, and I wore it once to KomoriCon in 2018, 2019, and she has never seen any kind of wear again. So that is definitely one I would like to bring back because it's complete, it's ready to go. Another one I want to bring back really bad and like fix a lot of things is Sophia from that time I was reincarnated as a slime. There's
Who's
a couple
that one
things.
again?
What was that?
Who's that one again? Is that the one with like the horn or?
It's that's the one with the white hair. She's the snow leopard. So it's white hair. Um, it's the counterpart to Echo did the snake girl from that, and
Oh yeah, because I also remember Echo had like the main character, the slime character.
yeah, it's one of the it's yeah, Sophia's the white haired, yellow sleeved. And I need a lot to fix a lot of stuff for that one. I kind of threw it together because the anime had come out and I'd like fallen in love with her and I made it in like 2-3 days. So I need to go back and because some unfortunate things happened in the process of making it, so I had to like change a couple things. And yeah, that one was really a trial and error process because it was the first time I used kind of like what figure skaters wear. It's the skin colored mesh.
Oh, like that the leotard looking
Yeah,
thing.
and I used the skin colored mesh because it was going to be kind of a tube top, and I didn't want it like falling down constantly. So I'd made like a t-shirt out of the mesh and attached the top. And that was my first time working with that. And little fine tuning needed to be done with
Oh
that
no.
outfit.
Um.
But it made
Next.
it through KomoriCon, so I was happy with that.
Well, hey, as long as it made it through, that's usually that
Yeah.
matters. Because I know there's times where people like get the cosplay on, and they get to the con. As soon as they get out of the car or they get to the con, they just bend down or move a certain way, and next you hear a
Oh, yeah, that
or a.
a couple years ago I did a Bakuchi test character. And it was my first time making foam armor. And unfortunately, the week before that KomoriCon, when I was still working on the armor, we had a plumbing issue in my house, and
Oh no.
that flooded. So, Echo thankfully was really cool. Let me come over to her house and finish my armor, like the painting and the gluing. And I got it done. But when I got to the convention and put the armor on my legs, it immediately broke. It
Good
popped
old,
off. It was a mess. I was
good
so
old cosplay mishaps.
I really wanted to get some good pictures at the photo booth, and so I was in cosplay repair, like just gluing my boots on and just hoping I could run quick enough to the photo booth that they wouldn't fall apart.
That's never fun.
And that's also
Um,
another one I'd like to go back and fix up now that I know couple more things about foam armor.
Trial and error. That's all it is. It's just
Yeah,
trial and error, and
that's my favorite thing is if it doesn't work the first time, try something different the second time.
and if it doesn't work a third time, you just throw it in the corner and cry.
Yeah, or if you're making something and it's like stuck on you, there's nothing more cathartic than just tearing it and ripping it off
Oh,
and
da, da,
throwing
da,
it
da.
away and trying again another day.
Next cosplay question. I called them. What is that vaulted cosplay, or what is that garbage bag cosplay? It's basically a cosplay you did once because someone asked you to, or you're curious about the character, but since then it's either in a closet, it's in a closet, never to be seen again, or it's in the trash bag because it's just like you don't want to see it ever again.
Um, I don't know if I have any of those. I know I probably won't do Aizawa again in like his full regular black suit thing. um I'd probably me and Echo did a summer version of the teach.
I've seen that.
Yeah, we did a summer version. I'd probably do Aizawa again in like different versions. I just wasn't a huge fan of that particular look really. But I like being Aizawa. It's just uh, the suit was warm. it was
Oh, I
it was
mean that's
hot.
all that black. I mean, black
Yeah,
is a very warm color because
and the
like
scarf and um I had done scar makeup for the first time and like wilted my face really bad, and I had like an actual scar for like 2 weeks afterwards. So I'd probably do more casual looks for him, but as far as like doing that costume again, it's probably not in the books for me. But as far as anything else, I've worn my costumes like other than like a handful multiple times. I love wearing them. Generally, if I'm putting the effort in to make something, it, I love it. I want to wear it as many times as possible.
nice. Now finally to end the cosplay portion of this, What's that one favorite cosplay of yours? I call it a comfort cosplay. It's a cosplay that no matter how many times, if you get the chance to wear it, you'll wear it.
Clara from Welcome to Demon School. Uh, she's the one with the green hair. And I have two different outfits for her, either
Oh, was
green
that the one that?
overalls.
Oh, yeah, you sent me that for the thumbnail picture.
Yeah, that's my favorite outfit for her is the green overalls. I had so much fun making those. Uh, but I also have her regular schoolgirl uniform, and I also have plans for like three other of her variant looks from the show and the manga. She is probably one of my all-time favorite characters, and the character I love being the most.
Nice.
She's just so much fun. But green overalls, I could wear that. I could literally wear that to work.
I remember
It's so
seeing
much fun.
I remember seeing someone cosplay as her at Anna Medford 2023 when they were in the Jackson County Expo.
Oh, at the Jackson County Expo?
Yeah, back in 2023, or as I call it, Oven Con.
Oh, was there a Clara there? I must have missed him. I'm so sad now.
I saw them in the line when they were whoever. If you see this, really well done. They were in the line. They were in Peter Columbus's autograph line when I
Oh,
was going
yeah, it's my
around.
personal mission to find every Welcome to Demon School
It
cosplayer
sounds like that
and
sounds like one of
take a
those
picture
like
with them.
niche. That sounds like one of those like animes you hear on TikTok. Not saying that's a bad thing, because like TikTok is how I learn about a lot of these animes. It's like, oh, there's this
I
anime. Oh, there's this anime. Stop showing me these animes. I'm way behind.
I might be biased, but I cannot recommend it enough. It's got 3 seasons currently. It has a fourth on the way. It
Really?
has
Oh,
really
it's
good.
like one of those animes. Like, yeah, maybe we'll do a second season pending.
No, actually, they did a really good ending for the first season. They followed the manga incredibly well. I was really bummed that they weren't going to be doing a fourth season because that's the school festival arc where they do a musical type thing. So I really wanted
I'm
to see
still
that.
listening. I'm just making sure I don't have to continue.
I really wanted to see that animated because it's music. um, so I was like trying to manifest that fourth season, but every season is honestly great, and they don't leave it on a cliffhanger, so you can complete them just fine and not have to go on to the next season. I don't know why you want to go on to the next season, but yeah,
I'm just bitter because Netflix just didn't bother continuing. You've heard of Moggy Kingdom of Magic and Moggy Kingdom Labyrinth of Magic, right?
I've heard of them. I haven't watched or seen anything on them, but I have seen the thumbnail on Netflix.
So sometimes I like to bring in the other segments onto every other segment. I'm still pissed off at Netflix for not continuing Sinbad. It's a prequel to to Moggy Kingdom of Magic and Labyrinth of Magic.
Yeah.
It's pretty much about one of the characters, Sinbad, and how he became. It's about how he basically became like a sultan king type thing person, because we were introduced to him in like the later episodes of Kingdom of Magic, no, Labyrinth of Magic, and they made a prequel, and it's how he became to be, how he got his companions and everything and whatnot, and they left him on a. I always allow one F word on there. Left him a fucking cliffhanger. It's just like
They would do that. Yeah.
it's like
Yeah, it
it's like I can't wait for the next. All right, years. This a couple months have passed.
I
We're
have
not gonna
a
we're not gonna see it. We're not gonna see a season 2 of this. This is really clear.
back in the day there was a spin-off of the show Bones called The Finder.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely loved it. Watched every episode faithfully. They left the last episode on a cliffhanger, never renewed it, and so I do not watch shows anymore that I know don't have a definitive ending. So shows
No, I
like
mean,
that, even if I'm like, oh, I should start from the beginning, I don't, because you're in for heartbreak.
Yeah, no, I mean sometimes they'll do a season 2 because of fan base and like
Yeah,
the
but
watch was like, but then there's like, well, we know y'all like this, but we're not gonna do. We're gonna work on another project. I'm like, you
hmm
asshole. I get it. It's because it's not no. Yeah, a show could have a great fan base. So many people watch it, but then like Netflix, like, hey, we need to make another show because we like, well, why not? Because sometimes the budget, it's just not in the budget. You
yeah,
know,
and
they
I really like. There's some of my favorite animes are just a simple one season, 12 episodes, 26 episodes, and that's it. And I think sometimes they're afraid not to leave it on a cliffhanger because they want to do that second
um,
season for like profit. But I really enjoy a good, concise, done one season anime.
I mean, I'll be surprised. I'm surprised. Cells at Work got a darker, more messed up, grittier spin-off.
Yeah, yeah. That was actually the manga. The manga had the darker, grittier, and the fan base was so great with that one that they did it.
I'm like it's just seen like gender swapped of like, oh, this is gonna be like this is nothing like the original Cells
No,
at Work.
but it's still fun in its own way.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I've watched it. I haven't finished it yet because like there are some animes I'm just surprised. Like, oh yeah, this is good. Wait, it's gonna. How are you? And what gets me is because they're apparently making a second season of Skate the Infinity. I'm like, how are you gonna top season
I
one?
heard that, and I was really excited because I really like Skate the Infinity.
I was
But
like,
I was
how are
also
you gonna? How
I
are you
was
gonna
scared
top
because it
season
was
one?
such a good, concise
And they,
season. Like I didn't need any more. It was
like,
great.
how are you gonna? It baffles me. Like, you got this first good season, and then you got like, okay, well, how the hell are you gonna top this?
Yeah, how can you take this and make it, because you want a second season to be better or at least on par, and it's like, don't ruin this for us.
Oh yeah.
But honestly, it was mostly the voice dubbing for the English cast that like sold me for for Skate 8.
Oh yeah. No. I mean, you got yeah. Anyway, enough about anime. Even though I would love to go on, but this isn't geeking out. Just so you know, these aren't scripted. I have I have this, but I don't use it. So like, these are not scripted. I have nothing against scripts as someone who's a writer, but like, not scripted. So on to my favorite questions now. You already talked about your cosplay mishap. Have you ever had a convention WTF moment? I call them just weird, awkward, funny, haha. Just like, true, like, did that actually just happen to like? Okay, I need to go this way because this is weird.
Oh, not off the top of my head. I mean, there's been like interesting circumstances. Back in the day, I was a Pikmin with Kale, and somebody asked to pluck Kale out of the ground and pick her up. Um, we were probably 16, so that was in hindsight that was probably a little funny. At the time, we're like, oh yeah, that would be so hilarious. Yeah, pick her up. That's great. Um, but other than like, oh, that's really weird. We need to be somewhere else. I can't think.
Was it an adult or like someone your guys' age?
It was at the time you think everybody older than you is kind of an adult. I'd say they were probably in their 20s.
Ew, that sounds
Um,
creepy.
so still an inappropriate age to, but at least he asked.
I mean,
I do have to give him
true.
props for getting consent before touching anybody.
That's that's
But
a fucking.
still a questionable
I
choice.
mean, oh yeah, no, I agree. I mean, look at after COVID, just common
Oh, this
courtesy's
was
gone.
well
So,
pre-COVID. This was
oh, I
like
know. I'm
2011.
I'm just convinced that common decency and common courtesy just went out the window after after COVID, especially with a lot of people discovering cosplay through TikTok and not knowing a thing about con. I'm not saying everyone. I'm just saying there are some people who just like discovered cosplay through TikTok. So when they finally went to convention, they thought it was just gonna be like, no, it's not gonna be like TikTok. I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
see, when we went back in the day, glomping circles were really popular. So
Glomping
boundaries were
circles,
definitely different back in
glomp
the day.
circles, yaoi paddles, handcuffs,
Yeah, definitely, definitely a little bit different
free
than.
hug, free hug sign. Will
Yeah,
you be
yeah.
my?
You
Will
always
you?
worry
Will
about
you?
the free
Will
hug
you be
people.
my? Will you be my wife? Marry me.
Lots
I
of free
mean,
candy handing out. You always be wary of
or my
packaging.
or my favorite. If you pay me $5, I'll step on you, or I'll smack you, or I'll call you a mm,
Yeah,
certain thing.
gosh, was it Rose City or Sac that somebody had to go over the intercom? Somebody had a sign like that, and they said you cannot do that because it is technically prostitution.
It is,
Yeah, so that
and
is
I've
in a
seen
public space is a crime.
because someone can easily someone. I'm gonna go a little tangent here. If you do that, like if whether you're a male or female cosplayer, someone can easily say that you view that to them. Someone can say, "They smacked me here. They smacked me." Like, and if you don't record them, if you don't record yourself smacking them and having them pay you, they can easily the security will be like, "Yeah, we believe this person. You need to leave." And next thing you know, your con's over, and I've seen some people complain on TikTok like, "Well, he just got kicked out." Well, why? Well, because like, well, no, that's why you got kicked out.
Yeah,
Dumbass. I'm
yeah.
sorry.
Con spaces, you know, what is appropriate for the real world does not go away when you're in a con space.
no, I'm just saying, I get you do it because you think it's funny, but in the end, it is asinine and stupid. I know that's
Yeah,
a word.
if
I
you
know
want to
that's
do it in
a
a public library, don't do it in a convention.
save that for anyway. What has been your favorite convention moment? Like to
uh,
this day is like the best. It's like the coolest thing that ever happened at a convention.
oh gosh. I definitely know I have one. Oh, KomoriCon does a swap meet every year,
I've
and
seen that.
at this swap meet, I found a plush from a very niche show that nobody knows. Um, and I had like zero things to trade, and I usually, Echo always has a bunch of stuff, and they're like, "Oh yeah, trade whatever," and they didn't want anything from, and I was like, "Oh, I really want that plush," and they gave it to me afterwards. They're like, "Nobody knows this. You can have it.
What is it
If you
from?
hold on a second, I'll grab it. It's
Oh
so
yeah,
cute."
please do.
Oh, and jostled everything around. This is Drock from The Vampire Dies in No Time. This is his bat form, and
I've
it's
seen
like official merch.
I think I've seen that on TikTok. Doesn't it have like that more like that cartoonish anime type style?
It does in some parts. It sometimes changes its animation style depending on the story, but it's like one of my top 10 right now. But I found him and I'm like, I know who he is. I love him, and they gave him to me, and that was like one of my top moments for a convention. Was just the kindness of some stranger who made my day.
I want to see more SWAT. I thought it was cool when you and Echo did that SWAT meet last year at
Yeah,
Animated.
yeah, yeah, that was like an impromptu thing because the guy who actually set it up, like his car broke down, and so Echo was like talking to them and just ended up taking over. But
Nice.
it's definitely something I'd like to see at more conventions, just because I know I go out of phases with some things. Or, sometimes I do grab bags and I don't get something that I really like. So, it's a good way to, allow somebody. I think, oh, I buffered. It allows somebody to appreciate it and get it, and you get something in return, or just make somebody's day by giving them something they like.
Yeah, I can't argue with that. So two more questions before we end this. Technically three. What kind of impact has this had on you? Like, what's it been like, going to cons, being part of the crafts pajamas, and just doing this something you love?
Oh, it's like it's had a huge impact. It's sometimes sitting down and sewing. That's what I want to do after I get off of work, and I'm like, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to sew. I'm going to create something, and just in that creation process is like gratifying. Creating something that's physical.
You seem to really enjoy it, though. Like I said, I like anytime I see you and Echo and Kale and what's your other friend's name? The one with the short hair?
I have a lot of friends with short hair.
They help you with the crafts pajamas. Can't remember their name.
Oh, that's Das Karas. That's Kale's sister.
Okay, Kara. Yeah,
Yeah,
because I remember
Karas. Or Amy.
I know they were part of. I know like at the Animed for 2023 they were Team Skull from Pokemon,
Yes.
and they
Yeah.
had like
Um.
they had the light up shoes.
Yeah. Yeah. We'd actually talked about. I was going to do Guzma. When they did their grunt, and I ended up not being able to do that. But I had made the skull logo already for Guzma, and when I wasn't able to do that costume anymore, I gave them the skull medallion for their costume, so they didn't have to make
Nice,
it.
nice.
But yeah, no, I just when you do a hobby like this, sometimes most of the times things don't go right and it can be really frustrating, but then when you have that final project and you have it completely done, it's all on, there's like no better feeling than knowing that you're passionate about something and that you've taken it and like made something out of that. I imagine it's, if I knew how to draw and do fan art, that's probably how I'd feel about it too. But I can only sew. So
Yeah, as I always say, and it's pretty much become a mantra. Well, I would not say mantra, but pretty much become a known phrase on this channel. There is nothing wrong with that.
yeah, it's just the product of my passion for it.
As long as you have fun, as long as you're enjoying it, who cares what
Some days
other people think?
when I fight with the sewing machine, I don't know if I enjoy it as
S-
much.
Some days just like want to just, "Ugh!" And then it's like,
The,
wait, I need that. Damn it!
I call those no sewing days. Sometimes the sewing gods do not smile upon you, and it is okay to walk away
Oh,
because
you
when you
wanna
go back the
you
next
wanna make
day,
your
it
little
may work just fine.
you wanna make your little pattern? Well, too bad.
Oh, you want this to go on right the first time? Bummer.
Hmm. Yeah, about that.
Yeah, I've made
um,
many things. I've worked hard on many things, and sometimes they just don't work out, and you just got to do it
no,
differently the next
no,
time.
no. Sometimes they just don't work out there.
Yeah.
Um, any last minute advice you want to throw out there for those who are listening and are watching this?
Um, I guess just do it. If you want to do it, get into it. Go for it. Nothing nothing like getting started in the present. There's always going to be a convention to go to. They're all throughout the year. If you are on the fence about getting into cosplay or just going to a convention in general, I mean, get your foot in the door. Just get started.
Yeah. Hey, no, I can't argue with that. Finally, last but not least, since we're at the butt end of this, Where can people find you on social media to stay up to date with your cosplays, or where they can find you at the next convention?
I only ever use Instagram. You can that which is Mo Maple, Mo_Maple if you're searching me. Uh, and that's where I'm at.
And the
I
crafts
don't post.
pajamas too.
Yeah, in the crafts pajamas, I don't have access to that account, so you probably can't hit me up there. But if you try to, somebody will let me know. I don't post a lot of pictures of my cosplays. I generally, in the moment, do. It's more of a personal thing for me. I buffered again. It's more of a personal thing for myself personally than to catalog. And I only catalog a few things on Instagram, but you're more than welcome to follow me. I do post a lot of my whips on my stories, so you can see the process of me making a lot of things. And yeah, generally, if I'm at a convention, that's my biggest posting because I like to take pictures of people and post those on there.
Sorry, I'm just looking for more ants. I may have to add an ant kill count or on this, and it's like show a picture of an ant and how many ants I've killed. I think I killed like
Just
six,
keeps
seven.
rolling and rolling.
It's like, ah! Well, again, Mo, thank you for coming on. I'm glad we were able to finally get you on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
I was like, I have yet to have, I've had Kale, I've had Echo. I need to get the last member of the Crafts Pajamas on here.
Yeah, it's been it's been just from Kale's first one to now. That's been a couple of years. Yeah,
Oh God,
you've spread us out.
4 years. Oh yeah,
for you.
because 2021, an attempt in 2022. I think
That's
I
right. Yeah, for
did.
Echo's
I
first
think I
one.
did. I think I did Echoes again in 2023. I think, or is it
Yeah, I feel
2020
like it came out.
last
What
year? I
is
think it
25
was.
last year?
No, 24. Was it 2024? Either way, I'm glad I got the last member of the Crass Pajamas
Yeah,
on
I'm
here.
here. I exist.
So again, though, I may have to make a YouTube short of like all the Crass Pajamas interviews or something.
Yeah.
Again, Mo, thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of
If you ever
course.
want to talk anime, I'm here.
I see a cat.
Oh,
You need to
oh,
show the cat.
that's Bugsy. Oh,
Can
there
you?
he goes. I scared him.
Aw. We always love a pet cameo on here. As always, I'm Wayne the Unknown. Until next time, thank you for listening, and as always, thank you for watching.